Hey guys, welcome to a new episode of The Rachel Cruze Show. And I'm here to remind you that we have a new format. So we'll be releasing each segment every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Hope you like it. Take a listen. Well, hey, you guys, I'm so excited about today's show because whenever I have guests, it's always fun to have a conversation, but specifically with topics that selfishly I'm interested in. So today I have Dr. Arthur Brooks, and he's joining us. He's an author, a speaker, a Harvard professor, a social scientist. The list just goes on and on. So welcome.
Thanks, Rachel. Great to be with you.
I know. Thanks for being here.
I've been looking forward to it.
So great. Okay, so give us just a little context of you, just your history, what caused you to do what you do in the world today, because you're doing a lot and you're making an incredible impact, honestly, with the content that you're writing, your articles, everything. It's amazing. Yeah,
I've been working for the last 5 years exclusively on the science of happiness and bringing it to the most people I possibly can. And that's because some years ago when I stepped down from a CEO job that I had working in public policy, I went back to my roots as a behavioral scientist. So I was an academic for many years, and I thought, I want to go back to academia, but I want to use it in a way that I can lift people up and bring them together in bonds of happiness and love. This is my goal in life, but I want to use science and ideas. And so that's what I've been all about. It's kind of a movement of using cutting edge social science and neuroscience to help people live their best lives.
Yeah, and which I think is so fascinating. That's why I like all of your content, because it's proving the point that you can have these emotions, of gratitude or contentment, or you're feeling a certain way, or loneliness, right? On the other side, you're feeling these things. And then when you pair it with the brain, when you pair it with actual science and fact, I think it just gives the validity to no, this is real stuff. This isn't just like this made up kind of woo-woo thing up in the air, right?
Yeah.
It's real. And you're seeing it, as a scientist.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And as a matter of fact, I started doing a lot of this because I wanted to have a better life personally. I started to use my academic background in science to see whether or not I could engineer my own life in a better way. So I could be a better person. I could be a better husband and father, now grandfather, how I could bring ideas to people in a more effective way. Yeah. And I turned it into a class. I teach it at the Harvard Business School. I turned it into a class on the science of happiness. And it was very successful because people were saying that it worked for them.
I was going to say,
so it's got a really long waiting list. And then I started writing about it in The Atlantic, which is a magazine. And every Thursday morning, 1,300 words on the science of happiness, and got a big audience because people were finding it was helping their lives. And I thought, I got to find ways through, great means of dissemination like this to get it to, the audiences of people that can use science, but they didn't know that in a way that they can manage their own happiness in a more effective way and bring more happiness to others. See, here's the deal. The secret to happiness is becoming a happiness teacher. And so my goal is empowering people to understand their own happiness. Yeah. Within the bounds of what's possible. I'm not trying to make it so that people never feel unhappy. On the contrary, because being alive means having, negative experiences and emotions.
Yes.
To not pathologize their unhappiness, but to manage it effectively and then to bring more happiness to others. That's how a movement really works.
So good. Because some of the stuff you talk about too, which money, like the whole, does money buy happiness, right? Like that's always the question, I feel like. And when we talk about on this show so much is getting to a place of peace with your money, because a lot of people feel that stress and that anxiety constantly, just from the tactical side, right? They don't have the money to pay the bills and all of that. So getting people to this place. But then I also think that there's this imaginative world that I feel like we see maybe through social media or things that we've heard in the past that we think if I could just have X amount of money, everything would be okay.
Right.
And I talk a lot about in this show is that, you could still make a huge income and still be as terrible with money as you are today. It's just more magnified, right? Yeah. And that the happiness doesn't necessarily come. But you talk about the 5 areas of what you can do with money.
Right.
And that some actually will bring you some happiness on how you spend it or use it.
Yeah.
And then there's some that doesn't.
There's one that doesn't.
Will you walk through that?
Yeah,
I think that's so interesting.
And one thing that you said that's really important, which is that you can have a lot of money and still be crummy with money.
Yes.
The reason is because money makes you more of who you are.
That's right.
Anything in these world's rewards, fame makes you more of who you are, good or bad.
Yes.
Power makes you more of who you are, good or bad. And getting rich, great. Congratulations. You hit the lottery, but in real life, because the lottery is actually awful, but you earned a lot of money. That's great, but it's going to make you more of who you are. So you better understand money. You better understand how it works in your life and your happiness.
And the character of who you are in the process,
totally.
right?
You need to work on you, not, it's just if I have more money, it's going to solve the problems. No.
Totally.
Now, again, we're not talking about living in a country where people are dying of starvation.
Yes.
We're talking, thank God we live in America. I am so grateful to live in a country where we have the high class problems that we have when it comes around money today.
Yeah.
I literally in my prayers, I'm very thankful every day that I live in this country because my problems are so much better than if we were having starvation issues.
Totally.
Okay, so our high class problem is what do you do with money such that you're not fooled and that you can actually become happier in how you use it. There's 5 things you can do. You can buy stuff. You can buy experiences, right? You can buy time by paying people to do things. You can give it away and you can save it. Those are literally exhaustive list of things that you can do with money. There's lots and lots of work by social psychologists on what brings happiness and what doesn't.
Yeah.
First of all, what does your brain want you to do? Now, Mother Nature programs into you that you need to survive, pass on your genes, and rise in hierarchy. That's what Mother Nature has programmed into your caveman brain to do. And the way that you do that ordinarily is by showing that you have excess resources. Why does somebody want 5 watches? That dude's got 5 watches. He would make a good mate. So people are signaling in sort of the...
It's wild.
It's crazy.
That it's even just innate in who we are as people, right? It makes you feel less crazy.
In this way,
that's
right?
That's right.
And men especially will do this. So women too. But the whole point is we want to show that we have excess resources for all of these weird reasons that we don't even understand very much.
Yes.
And so the result is that we make this mistake of thinking that if we buy more stuff that looks kind of cool, that we'll be happier. That's wrong. Why? Because Mother Nature doesn't care if you're happy. She doesn't care. The 4 ways to get happier consistently are using your resources within responsibility to get experiences and have those experiences with people you love.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 2. It's not Disney World will make you happy, but Disney World with people you love will make you happy.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
If you can afford it and you don't put it on the credit card.
Sure, thank you. Right.
Because I'm going to get to
Brunson.
that. Number 2 is buying time.
Yeah.
But spending it not scrolling Instagram, but spending it meaningfully, and reading your Bible, going for a walk, spending it with people you love.
Yep.
That's how you spend the time. Use the time in a way that fortifies you.
That's good too, because I think that's convicting. Because there can be a sense of, okay, I'll just pass on this responsibility to X, Y, and Z to be able to like free up some of my time. And then
you watch TV.
What do you do mindlessly? It's not benefiting you
at all. As a matter of fact, you'll be happier mowing your own lawn than you will be watching mindless television.
Yes.
So don't buy the time by paying somebody and then waste your time. On the contrary, think, if I'm not spending the time mowing the lawn, what am I going to be doing? And then make the commitment and do it.
So good.
Yeah. Next is giving the money away. Giving the money away consistently makes people happier, healthier. There's even research that shows that when you give money away, people think you're better looking.
Really?
Yeah, I got data on this. Yeah. So when spouses see their spouse behaving charitably, philanthropically, it's more attractive. Especially women see men who behave philanthropically as physically more attractive.
Interesting.
Yeah, news you can use, guys.
That's right. It's very exciting news.
Yeah.
Again, give me some of the research behind this, because we talk about, this is why I love having you here, because some of the things that we talk about on the show, again, it's through experience, but it doesn't have the layered education that you're bringing to the conversation.
It follows common sense.
So the giving part, I mean, even on our budgeting app, it's the first thing. It's the first thing we tell people to do is you give, you save, then you pay bills.
Right.
Because giving, the way I've always seen it and experienced it, is it does create this joy of this selflessness in life, where it's like not all about you. You're actually looking up and saying, what can I contribute to the world, right? So there's joy in that.
Totally.
But what's the science? What's the
psychology?
I'm curious.
The answer is that when you witness yourself solving problems, you have greater agency. You have you're a person who's more effective. And so there's all these data that show that if you give more one year, you make way more than that back, about $3.65 for every dollar you give away in the next year. Now, again, your results may vary. You got to give something that you really believe in. Don't just burn the money with some dumb cause. And you got to do the work to make sure that you're passionate about it. But the point is, the more you give, the more evidence that you have that you're a giving person, that you're an effective person, that you can afford to do it. It's a gutsy decision, right? And my dad, my parents never made it out of lower middle class. But my dad never missed his tithe. My dad never missed his tithe. And it's funny because when I became an economist, I remember asking my dad, it's just about this tithing, because I was doing work on it. I'm doing work on the behavior and the effects. I said, do you give before or after taxes? And my dad's like, before taxes. I'm like, Dad, Come on. I mean, it's a render unto Caesar, but what's left? And because he was a serious Christian guy.
Yeah.
I said, why? And he said, just in case.
Just in case. just to cover every base that I need.
My dad was a scientist, and so he was thinking about the probabilities, et cetera, even in heaven. But the bottom line is it was very empowering to my parents, and they cared about it, and it was good for them.
So good.
And then the last is saving the money.
Yeah.
And saving brings huge amounts of happiness. Huge. Why? Because it's making progress. Humans are wired for progress. When you're saving, you're making progress. Now, some people become pathological about it. I know rich people who are still beavering away money at 80 years old.
Right. So, like, what's for the balance of that? Not being a hoarder, like a scarcity mindset, right? Like, what do you see of that balance of, like, there is a level of saving that creates happiness.
Right.
Probably at a level of security and the progress and seeing that number grow. But yet, how do you balance that?
Yeah, well, the truth is that most people are not going to have that problem. That's a very rare thing. So I find, rich people who are misers, the Ebenezer Scrooge effect. Right. I don't see that very often, but sometimes, I work with very successful people. I have to say, look, you're putting money away at such an extent that you're not going to spend it because you don't know how to spend money. You hate to spend money. It's become pathological. You're going to mess up your kids.
Yep.
This is going to mess up your kids because your adult kids are going to get, $10 or $15 million each. And that's just, it's not right because you earned your success and it's the source of your incredible satisfaction and you're not letting them earn their success. Why are you taking away that satisfaction from your kids? So I have to have that kind of that Dutch uncle talk.
Totally.
But most people, most people watching us are like, yeah, it would be nice to have that problem, high class problem. Most people, the problem is that they think they're going to get more satisfaction from immediate consumption and debt.
The spending.
And the debt is incredibly bad for your happiness. I mean, I've got tons of data that show that the feeling of helplessness and the regress that happens when you're actually paying off consumer debt is way, way, way outweighing the satisfaction you could get from anything you buy right now. Think about it.
Interesting.
I look at car loans, terrible for happiness, terrible for happiness. Student loans, it can go either way. When they're too large or you don't finish your degree, big problem.
Yep.
Mortgages can be fine, but here's the thing. If you pay off your mortgage, you'll get a happiness bump like you can't imagine.
Totally.
Right?
Yes.
So
yes.
most people have to borrow to buy their home. Okay.
For sure.
That's not a deleterious, terrible thing. Right. But if you can pay it off, you're going to love that.
Yeah.
But credit card debt, it's crazy. Now, the special case. I had to put groceries on my credit card. I had to pay a bill with a credit card. Okay. Those are special cases.
Right.
That's not the vast majority of cases.
No.
The vast majority of cases are I wanted that thing.
It's a lifestyle level.
And don't do it.
Yeah.
Don't do it because you're going behind the line of scrimmage and you're going to have to come back and that's going to wreck your happiness.
All the way. That's what's so fascinating too is because, again, not having the science, like all behind it all, but talking to people, Arthur, I'm like, doing this for 10, 15 years, I'm like, the house thing even, right? So, the argument is constant. Yeah. Why would you ever pay off your mortgage if you have a 2.3%? You could be making 10% and the spread's 8%. You could be making more money, smart. And I'm like, but there's something about it. When you own and you have autonomy over your life, there's something that occurs within you, within your spirit and your soul that is different. But you now have the science to prove it.
It's very satisfying. I think I see people who they live in places where housing values are going through the roof, and they start using their house like an ATM machine.
Yeah,
and they start by owing $80,000, and 10 years later they owe $250,000, and the argument is, but my house is worth $500,000. But no. What we care about is not these cold financial calculations about what looks good on the spreadsheet.
That's right. It's the person. It's a human.
You.
Yeah,
it's you. Does somebody have a claim on you or not? It's incredibly freeing to have nobody have a claim on you.
Totally.
And look, we're Americans. We demand freedom.
Right. That's right. Except all in this one area.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much. I so enjoy
Thank you, Rachel.
all the work you're doing. Truly, there is something about this, like maybe the time we are in the year even, but there's like restlessness that I feel within people, and people like you just bring a level of calm and peace.
Thanks.
And I really appreciate
Thanks for all you do for setting people free.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Okay, where can everyone find you?
ArthurBrooks.com.
Okay, and your books, everything's there.
The books, but you can find out about it. You go on Amazon, you can find my books. Or in The Atlantic every Thursday morning, I write about the science of happiness. But it's all there on ArthurBrooks.com, one-stop shopping.
So great. Guys, make sure to check out everything he's doing. Follow him. And again, getting these tidbits of life, honestly, that brings a level of peace and control. So thanks again.
Thanks.
All right, you guys, if you enjoyed this conversation, then I highly recommend you also check out what it actually costs to live in America today. Remember, you guys, to take control of your money and create a life you love.